Hi everyone, so we're going to be building out a full Google Ads course for free on our YouTube channel. This first course is really for marketing managers, business owners, or anyone who wants to learn about Google Ads. It's going to be part theory, part actual technical UI work. So this first course is going to be breaking down ad auction and ad rank. So we could just jump right in. Okay, so the ad auction. So we need to understand exactly what the ad auction is before we can understand, how to pull the right levers in Google Ads, how to scale campaigns, and how to adjust bids. So Google Ads uses an auction system to rank ads that appear in the search results. And ultimately, this helps determine the cost for each ad click. And the order in which the ads appear on the page is also based on a calculation called ad rank. We'll discuss that further in the course. But ultimately, Google users want ads that are relevant, and they don't want to be bothered by ads that aren't related to what they're searching for. On the other hand, advertisers want to show relevant ads so that people actually click on them, right? So they actually get good results. Google has to balance the ecosystem of advertisers paying for inventory, but also users that are coming back to the platform. And the way they do this is through an auction system that weights both cost per click bids, but also your ad rank and your ad quality, right? And both of these factors are used in this auction system to give the user a high quality ad, but to also give the advertiser high quality users. Ultimately, Google wants to provide a good experience for both users and the advertisers, so both parties can come back to the service and the platform. The next week, the next month, right? They want to have recurring advertiser revenue as well as recurring search volume. So what is the ad auction? So Google uses this special version of a second price auction that takes into account more than just bids. So basically, the way the second price auction works is that if advertiser 1 bids $100 for lawyers in their area, and advertiser 2 bids $50 for lawyers in the area, advertiser 1 is going to win, but they're only going to have to pay $50.01. They only have to pay right above the second highest bid. And so that way, when you understand that, you can kind of understand how to calculate your costs a little bit better inside of Google. But basically, the auction system, right? You have to think about competitive pressure and search volume is going to determine how expensive your cost per click bid is. So think about it like supply and demand. The more supply of searches and the lower demand of advertisers, the cheaper those clicks are going to be. However, inversely, the lower the supply of searches and the higher the competitive pressure and demand, those are going to be very expensive keywords and very expensive bids to rank on the first page of Google. So how does cost per click and ad rank all factor into your ad position? Basically, your ad rank is your quality of your ad. So that plus your bid, your first page bid, will equal your ad position. I mentioned this before. You cannot just pay to get on the first page because you can have irrelevant information, and that ends up being a bad experience for the end user, right? So it's really vital that Google is able to qualify every ad using this ad rank. And then that's how you end up determining what your final ad position is. So we're actually going to jump into the UI really quickly just to show you how to determine where your ads are ranking in Google reports. Okay, so Google used to have an actual ad position KPI or metric where you could determine what your average ad position was, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 2.3, right? Things like that. But they actually sunset that, and instead you have 3 top line metrics that can help determine really where your ads are. So you have your search impression share, and that's basically just how much are you serving compared to how many impressions in that marketplace, right? So if there are 100 searches a day for lawyers, and you have a 10% impression share, that means you're serving for 10 of those impressions. So that's a good gauge to understand the market cap on certain keywords or certain categories, right? So if you have a 60 to 70% impression share, you're pretty much tapping out on what that market can give you. So it's time to start to either expand into different categories or just try to expand your keywords, maybe change up match types to try to open up your range. Then you have impression absolute top position. Basically, this is going to tell you how many of the times, within your 10% of your impression share, are you serving at the very first spot. So if you're serving 55% absolute top impression share, that means out of every time you serve, over half of it, you're in the #1 position. So usually that's the case when you have like a really intensive exact match keyword build out, right? Or your bids are really high, or you have single keyword ad groups, right? So, usually you're going to see typically between 20 to 60% in that range. So this is definitely on the high end. And then impression top percent, this is also a metric that gets kind of lost, but is really important. I think it's even more important than absolute top. It's basically just measuring how many times are you above organic results. So if you see, this below 70, below 60%, basically it's saying, hey, 40% of the time you're below organic results, which basically means your viewability is almost zero, right? Who scrolls past the organic results to click on an ad? So you want to see this upwards of 80 and 90% just to ensure that you're in those top 3 to top 4 spots. So yeah, that's just a quick overview. Again, in this course, we're going to be jumping into Google Ads a lot, but in this first video, we're really just diving into the reports, and we're talking about theory and just all the the inner workings of the ad auction, ad rank, and ad quality. Okay, so now that we've jumped into the ad position to understand where your ad positions are in Google Ads, I want to talk about really why ad rank matters. And again, the ad with the highest rank ultimately gets the top position. Everyone, most advertisers are maxing out their CPC bids or the TCPA bids so they can bolster their ads. But the ad ranks that end up having the higher quality ads, more relevant, always are able to edge those big spenders. And so if you have a light budget or you're starting out, it's really important to understand ad rank, because that's a competitive advantage that sometimes small advertisers have the time to focus on. So more on ad rank, the 5 factors that determine where your ad ranks. I touched on bids. Basically, it's a supply and demand curve. You want to make sure your bids are always first or top of page bids. The second is your ad rank threshold. So this is, Google kind of has this metric in a black box, but basically ad rank threshold determines your ability to compete in an ad auction. Thresholds are determined dynamically at the time of each auction based on various factors, including your ad quality. And to help maintain a high quality ad experience for consumers, lower quality ads have higher thresholds. So basically, Google has an algorithm on how, the quality level of ads. And so when you publish an ad, and goes through a review process, Google's basically just determining very quickly based on their formula, is this ad going to have high relevancy, high click-through rate, is it relative to the keywords they're bidding on, and things like that, right? So the way you're able to bolster this metric is just to listen to Google when you're building ads, right? If Google is telling you that you need to add more keywords into your headlines, you should listen and try to get your ad strength up to excellent as much as possible. Okay, so context of queries. So with the ad auction, context really matters. Ad rank is calculated based on the search terms that people enter, person's location at the time of the search, and the type of device that they're searching on, right, like mobile or desktop. So basically, it's really vital that whatever people are searching, your keywords match that, your ads match that, your landing page matches that, right? So Google, again, this goes back to my original point. Google wants to give a good experience to both the advertiser and the user, but especially the user, right? So if you can create an ad, a campaign that has a really high context compared to what the users are actually searching, your ad rank's going to increase inevitably, right? Okay, so the fourth aspect to ad rank is going to be your ad extension impact. So extensions, are basically, it can be site links, it can be phone, it can be call out. There's a handful of extensions. Google seems to be adding a new extension type all the time, right? It's really important to add as many extensions as you can because if you, Google literally spells it out for you right here. If you add extensions to your ads, they're going to give you priority, right? So add your site links, add your phone numbers. It's a really easy thing you can do that will immediately impact your ad. And then the fifth thing is going to be auction time ad quality. So Google Ads also looks at how relevant and useful your ads are and the website it links to, right? So if people that are clicking on your ad and going to a landing page, Is it relevant, right? Does the landing page have similar copy to the keywords that you're bidding on? And again, this kind of goes back to the ad rank threshold. There's a few of these factors Google tells you impacts ad rank. Then all of them ultimately come down to relevancy, right? It can be kind of confusing digging through their documentation. Just make sure your landing page is relevant, make sure your ad is relevant, make sure your keywords are relevant, right? And that will always improve your ad rank and your auction time ad quality, right? So I want to dive a little bit more into ad quality, because you can even go deeper into the documentation that Google has to see really what is ad quality and like how do you determine a strong ad versus a poor ad. So Google has the 3 factors to ad quality: expected click-through rate, ad landing page, and ad relevancy. So advertisers only pay when you actually receive a click on their ad, and their order isn't just based on bids, right? So Google wants to show more useful ads in higher positions on the search result page. And that's why expected click-through rate is so important. So Google, again, has an algorithm to determine if an ad is going to have higher click-through rate or lower click-through rate. Again, it goes back to putting keywords or search terms that you are bidding on in your ads, right? And when you actually create an ad, we'll have a whole other course to dedicated to ads. Google will actually tell you, hey, put this keyword in your headline, put 3 new keywords in your descriptions. And that's basically part of how Google can determine what your expected click-through rate is. The second piece is going to be ad landing page. Again, when someone clicks on your ad and they hit a landing page, does the landing page make sense compared to the ad they clicked on, right? If you're saying, get a free quote, here's a free ebook, does your landing page actually give out, an ebook, or do you have free quote buttons on your page? Is it for the service they're looking for, right? Again, really important that you get the landing page right to get your ad quality up. Google does scan your whole landing page to, find the relevant ad copy in there. And then the third piece is going to be just ad relevancy. Again, it's basically, expected click-through rate plus ad landing page equals ad relevancy. Make sure everything is relevant. Make sure your keyword is relevant. Make sure your landing page is relevant. And, all 3 of those things are going to help improve your ad quality. Okay, so, final thoughts. If you're still here, thank you. Please like, subscribe, and comment. I wanted to touch a little bit just on part 1 to this course, right? Understand the auction behind Google Ads. The better you can understand how it works, the better you can figure out what is wrong, what is working, how do I make adjustments to my ads and to my bids, right? It's really vital to understand the ecosystem so you can have scalable ads. To determine your cost per click bids, go into the keyword planner. Again, we're going to have another video, another part of this course, just diving into the keyword planner and finding the right bids, right? But understand, how competitive certain searches are, certain keyword categories, so you have a good expectation of the costs associated. And then 3, focus on ad rank and ad quality, especially small budget advertisers that have limited budgets. Focus on your ad rank and your ad quality, because it's something you can do that can get your costs down and be in good favor with Google. So yeah, that's everything. We're going to link to part 2, and we'll see you in the next one. Welcome to part 2 of our Google Ads course. In this specific course, we're actually going to be breaking down quality score. What is it? Why does it matter? We're going to go into the Google Ads UI and determine, exactly how do we pull these columns into our reports to understand what keywords have good quality score, what keywords need quality score updates, right? So yeah, we can just jump right in. So ultimately, the position of your ad into Google search results is determined almost entirely by quality score. Right? So what is quality score? Quality score is really just an estimate of the quality of your ad, your keyword, and your landing page, all baked into one metric. Higher quality ads can lead to lower prices and ultimately better ad positions. And quality score specifically is composed of expected click-through rate, ad relevancy, and landing page experience. So basically, when you're searching in Google, say you're bidding on a keyword like HVAC, just the keyword HVAC, and you trigger someone that says HVAC near you. If your ad has a HVAC location-based headline, they click on that, and then the landing page has more HVAC location-based headlines, then you're in a really good spot, and your quality score for that keyword is going to be very high. Inversely, if someone's searching for personal injury law firm and your ads say, LLC, contract law, your expected click-through rate is going to be lower. And then if your landing page continues that messaging of contract law and LLC type law firm, business law, right? Your quality score is going to be really low for a personal injury keyword specifically, right? So when you kind of start to understand quality score and those three metrics, it's really all about relevancy. So basically, your current quality score and its component scores can be seen through 4 quality score status columns in Google Ads. And we're going to actually dive in a second, but basically quality score, landing page experience, ad relevancy, and expected click-through rate, ECTR, are all factors you can pull into Google Ads to understand exactly where my ads, where my keywords are struggling. And so we can actually jump in right now. Okay, so here's my Google Ads test account. You're going to want to navigate to your campaigns and then you go to your search keywords. And then Google does not natively have these columns in there, so you have to create like a custom report. So hit column, hit custom column, and then you're going to hit search for just quality. And most of your quality metrics are going to, let's try this again. All right, quality score. So you're going to have a whole section of quality score metrics you can pull in. You can pull in your current quality score, landing page experience, ad relevancy, expected click-through rate, but then you can also pour in all the historical data, right? So you can say, and let's look at the time frame here. So historical quality score basically shows the last known quality score for the reporting period. So this way you can kind of reference what my current quality score is due to what my quality score was last week, right? If you can configure your dates, accurately. Basically, once you find quality score, you're going to click on the metrics that you want to look at, expected click-through rate, and then just hit. Actually, before you do that, scroll into the columns right here, and you can actually drag and drop these columns so you can get all of your quality score metrics all in the same place. Okay, so that looks accurate. Let's hit apply, and now let's look at this, right? So again, these are all test keywords, but it's a really great way to kind of dive into your account and see, why is, sell your own home a lower quality score versus how to sell a home a higher quality score. And again, this is going to end up determining, what your conversion rates are looking like, your cost per clicks are looking like, and it just gives you a look under the hood of, how effective are my keywords? Are my keywords really working for me, and why not? Again, quality score is the overall metric that Google looks at when ranking your bids. However, if you want to dive deeper into the hood, you can just look at landing page, ad relevancy, and expected click-through rate. Okay, so again, the 3 factors to quality score, right? Expected click-through rate predicts whether your keywords is really likely to lead to an ad click. However, you should be actively working on improving your click-through rate, which is often how users who see your ad actually end up clicking on it. So to improve your click-through rate, this is a good example, right? You're looking in the Google Ads UI and you see your click-through rate, expected click-through rate low. How do you get that to a point where Google is going to start to serve your ads more? Be specific in your ads. Include keywords in your ad text, especially in the headlines, and show people exactly why your ad is relevant to them. Second, experiment with different calls to action, right? A lot of times it's really easy just to put very vanilla CTAs, get a quote, learn more, but try to, use different things, right? Add free shipping, free returns, book with the specialist, try a lot of different calls to action. And that's, again, the call to action drives the user to do something, to click on the ad, right? And that's the point of what it's trying to do. Highlight a unique benefit of your product or service, right? A value proposition. Why does your service or product stand out from your competitors? And then the last piece is create a time or a location specific ad text. Actually in Google Ads, if you go into your headlines, you can use a location and keyword dynamic texts inside your headlines and really try to drive that action and make it relevant to this specific user who's searching. Ad relevancy, right? So how do we improve our ad relevancy if that metric is really not doing well, right? So number 1, add negative keywords. So prevent your ads from showing on unwanted queries or queries not closely related to your product or service, right? I see, you can look online and find large negative keyword libraries that are already built out. But every industry is specific, right? So if you're in the real estate world and you don't want to serve for mortgage type keywords, right? But sometimes, because they're so closely related and they can cross-pollinate, right? Sometimes someone's searching for home mortgage and they really mean mortgage lender, or vice versa. So you add the mortgage keywords to your negative keyword list so that you're not serving on anything that says mortgage in it, right? Number 2, create specific creative assets by device. So if a user's mobile search experience is different from desktop, test different mobile specific creatives. Number 3, try to be local. Target the right region for your business by using only relevant languages and locations. Again, you can add location dynamic texts inside your ads. You can also add location extensions. Include relevant search terms in your ad copy. We've said this a few times now, but adding search terms that are related to your business into your ad copy is really going to help drive that overall relevant messaging to your user. So to improve your landing page experience, you may want to send traffic to the right landing page, right? I know this sounds really basic, but oftentimes, people that are new to Google Ads, they feel like if I just throw in my homepage, the user will search and find what they're looking for, right? Don't assume that, right? In Google Ads, in any sort of pay-per-click advertising, it's really important to get the landing page right. If you don't have the landing page right, don't ever spend money on a media platform, right? So it's really important to send your traffic to a very specific page that has to do with your offer or your keywords that you're bidding on, right? Direct clicks to the pages that are related to a user's query will increase your landing page experience. So if a search is for striped shirts, the landing page should feature striped shirts on the actual page, right? Again, I know that sounds basic, but it's really important because Google will actually scrape your pages and determine really what's relevant to the user. Is this relevant to the keyword that you're bidding on? The second part here to improving your landing page experience is really being consistent. So make sure the landing page continues the conversation set up in the ad, right? So if you're saying get a free quote in your ad, put get a free quote actually in your landing page as well. And make your site transparent and trustworthy. So make it easy for visitors to find your contact information and clearly state what your business does, right? Don't add any confusion. Be very clear on who you are and what you want from the user. The next piece is going to be work on your loading speed and clarity. So help users quickly find what they're looking for by prioritizing content, making sure your page is loading quickly on both mobile and desktop. And that leads to the last piece, which is really rethink mobile. So ease of navigation is really valued by users even more on mobile websites. So make sure your site is well optimized. And I want to kind of expound on that, right? So there's a few ways to splice this. You can actually use like a page speeds insight, and we can actually dive into that right now. Okay, so we're inside the Page Speeds Insights tool by Google, and you can actually drop a landing page in here and determine exactly how quick loading it is on desktop versus mobile. This is really big to understanding the landing page experience piece, because desktop and mobile users are both very different. A lot of times you can neglect mobile users, but most searches are now coming from mobile devices, and you can't look away from it anymore. So you can just type in really any landing page. So we can just type in our website here. And then it's going to analyze this page and tell you exactly how, the usability levels on it, how fast it loads, is this a good overall experience? And again, this is a free tool that you can leverage inside, this is a Google tool, but it tells you exactly, see, now that it's loaded, you can dive into your mobile section. So overall, our performance is 54 out of 100. Isn't bad, isn't great. Again, we're not bidding to our homepage, but this is good insights, right? People are going to our landing pages, through mobile devices all the time, right? So it's really important to get this up. We go to desktop. Our desktop is 95. Again, this is pretty common. Desktop usually loads a lot better, a lot quicker than mobile devices. But yeah, so use the pagespeed.web.dev tool to understand, are my landing pages loading quickly? If you're seeing conversions, struggle on mobile devices, the first thing you should do is dive into the Page Speeds Insights tool and just test your landing pages, right? That's a really easy win here. So we're actually diving back into Google Ads because the second piece to landing page experience is going to be creating dedicated landing pages, not only at the keyword level, but also for mobile specific. So what I mean by that is that if you scroll to the right or the left, every keyword has a final URL. You can actually build dedicated experiences for each specific keyword, and the hierarchy of landing pages, Google will always pull from the keyword if you have that there, right? So you can, if you have a handful of keywords, selling a home, buying a home, different home evaluation tools if you're a real estate agent or a brokerage, create dedicated landing pages and drop them at the URL level. You can use Ad Editor to do this very quickly and very effectively. But again, this is a really easy win to create dedicated landing page experiences and see that landing page experience metric actually increase. The second thing is we're going to dive into ads and ads assets. And we're actually going to go into the specific, responsive search ads and show a trick that is really unique and something that not a lot of advertisers leverage, but it's really effective, right? So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to create a specific page for desktop users and a specific page for mobile users. So when you go into this this test ad, we're actually going to scroll all the way down here to add URL options. And this is where you have, your tracking template, your URL suffix and things like that, also custom parameters. But because it's hidden, a lot of times people miss this opportunity. But then you're going to use a different URL for mobile. And basically you're going to drop your dedicated mobile landing page right here. And what Google's going to do is that every time an ad is serving, they're going to actually split your ad into two categories. If this is a mobile user, they're going to give them the mobile site. If it is a desktop user, they're going to give the user the desktop version. Again, this is a really easy way to strip down your mobile site to the bare basics and give the best landing page experience to your users. Okay, so now that we're done looking at the Page Speed Insights tool and actually into Google Ads to make those adjustments, I just wanted to touch on our final thoughts from part 2 of our course. Why quality score matters. Quality score represents the estimate of your quality of your ads, keywords, and landing pages. Understanding this metric is only going to benefit your bids and your inevitable success or failure in the platform, right? Number 2, what impacts quality score, right? We have those 3 components: your expected click-through rate, your ad relevancy, and your landing page. If you can understand all 3 of these metrics and how to improve them, the sky's the limit with your account. And then, how to improve your ads, focus on ad quality, focus on optimizing those 3 components, and you're going to see success, right? So if you're still here, thank you for watching all the way through. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and we'll see you on part 3. Hi everyone, welcome to part 3 of our Google Ads course, and in this specific course we're going to be talking all about keyword strategies, essentially identifying the search terms that might be used to find your business and help you create an effective strategy so you can serve relevant ads to relevant users. And in this specific module we're going to talk about keyword strategy, match type optimizations, best practices, and then we're going to jump in Google Ads and actually build out a keyword strategy in the keyword planner. So we can just jump right in. So why does a keyword strategy matter? When people are searching for a product or service, they naturally use different combinations of words to describe what they're looking for. These words are known as search terms, and they lead to different search results, right? So your ad may appear when someone uses a search term that might match your keyword that you're targeting. So think about it this way: you're targeting keyword, and that could be red shoes. But that might not be exactly what people are searching. People might search red shoes near me, red shoe stores, Nike shoes that are in my area, and your keyword can target the search term by utilizing various match types. So why does a keyword strategy matter? There are really 3 key components, right, that are affected by your keyword strategy. Number 1, you want to be able to have target audiences to give focused messaging and focused products. But also you want to cut down on waste, right? You don't want to just be dropping in 20 keywords you think are going to convert, but might actually use up a lot of your budget without driving results. And then you want to be able to create goals and targets based on your keyword strategy, right? You want to know exactly what are my costs going to look like? How much do I have to pay for this keyword versus this keyword? And then you can create, conversion projections and ultimately understand, what am I forecasting to spend and what are my results going to be at the end of every month? Okay, so when you're building out a keyword strategy, there's really three match types. There's exact, there's phrase, and there's broad. There used to be something called broad match modifier, which I guess technically is still in Google Ads, but it's kind of one of those things where if your account had broad match modifier in there, you're grandfathered into that. But so we're not going to actually touch on broad match, just exact, phrase, and broad. So exact match, basically ads may show on searches that have the same meaning or same intent as the keyword. So of the three keyword matching options, exact match gives you the most control over who is seeing your ad, and also it reaches fewer searches, right? Because when you're targeting red shoes, you're really only going to be able to trigger red shoes misspelling, right? I have that up here as an example, or like a few very minor variations of exact. So phrase match is a little bit different. So ads may show on searches that include the meaning of your keyword. The meaning of the keywords can be implied, and user searches can be more specific form of the meaning, right? So with phrase match, you can reach more searches than with exact match because you have more variation options. In this example, I have a phrase match of red shoes might trigger red shoes near me, right? So often in phrase match, it usually has your root word, but could have a phrase, right, indicating the match type with that word inserted into it, right? So red shoes near me, or it could be Adidas red shoes for women. So broad match, ads may show on searches that are related to your keyword, which can include searches that don't contain your keyword at all. So this helps you attract more visitors to your website, spend less time building keyword lists, and focus on spending on keywords that work, right? So broad, there's been a big concerted effort from Google to really push their new variation of broad match. And I'm going to touch a little bit more on that. But basically, if you try to target red shoes on broad, you might trigger pink Nikes. And sometimes if you're in a highly automated e-commerce account, this might make sense for you. However, it takes away a lot of your control, and yeah, clicks are less expensive, but for a reason, right? Not a lot of people might be bidding on these because they're not driving actual results. Ultimately, broad can be used as branding, as awareness, and lower funnel if you have the time and the resources and the automation to see it through. So understanding close variants, right? So all match types will trigger close variants. And basically what that means is that even your exact match keywords might trigger misspellings, plural versions, right? And so all positive keyword match types are eligible to match to these close variants, which are essentially variants that are similar but not identical to a specific keyword. And all match types are semantic, meaning keywords expand based on the meaning of the query rather than the structure of the query. Close variants help you connect with consumers who are looking for your business despite slight variations in the way that they search. Basically, Google has a good idea on who is trying to purchase, who is trying to make an action, right? And so if there's an opportunity to serve a close variant and still generate the results you're looking for, Google often will serve that close variant. Often close variants are, misspellings, like I said, plural, stemmings, right? So floor instead of flooring, abbreviations, and then even accents. And in some situations, I've also seen, if you don't have strict language targeting, it trigger, a different language version of your keyword. Okay, so I'm going to take this opportunity to actually jump into Google Ads and build out a keyword strategy utilizing the keyword planner. Okay, so we're in my example account, and we're going to go to Tools and Settings, and we're going to hit Keyword Planner. Okay, and so that's going to open up our keyword planners, and we have two options. We have Discover New Keywords or Get Search Volume and Forecasts. I often like to lean towards Discover New because you can still leverage the search term volume and forecast function. So hit Discover New. Okay, in this example, we're going to be leveraging personal injury, law firms as an example. So we're going to just type in a few keywords here and just see what Google can generate. So PI law, personal injury, law firm. And let's just hit get results and see what comes up. Okay, so basically Google will show you the two terms that you searched, but then also give you a ton of other variations, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to actually start to broaden our search to build out more comprehensive keyword strategy. So Google's saying here's about 480 terms similar to the two terms that you looked at. So let's hit personal injury. And again, we're just focusing on personal injury, so we're going to stay away from more general terms like law firm, personal law firm. Add this right here. And I think that's good for now, right? So basically Google's going to show you your average monthly searches, the 3-month change, year-over-year change, competition. So Google's going to show the top of page bid at the low range and then the top of page bid at the high range. So if you have questions about this, we discussed this in part 1 of our series where we talk about the auction bidding and cost per clicks and how to determine that. But basically you can see pretty quickly these are very competitive terms, right? Let's filter this through 500, and then let's sort this by average monthly searches because we really want to see, what are the highest volume searches and add these to our plan. So law firm near me, like I mentioned, we want to focus on personal injury, so we're not going to add this to our plan. So we're going to just click on. And again, we're not going to add bankruptcies as well. We're really just trying to focus on personal injury. And actually what you can do here to make this a little bit easier is add a filter. So I'm going to type in keyword and only show keywords that have personal inside the name. And this will help filter out a lot of the bankruptcy terms. Okay, so Google is showing that we have about 296 variations. So we're going to highlight all of these and add it to our plan. And right now we're going to add it at a broad match, and then we're going to switch that over to exact match. And the reason why I do this is because broad will show you the absolute ceiling, exact will show you the floor. So if you're able to build out a plan where we can see, okay, this is as high as we can go, and this is as low as we recommend going. So we're going to hit broad, and we're going to add this to a plan. Create new ad group, so PI ad group. And hit create. Okay, now these are added to our plan. Let's go to the forecast tab and let's tweak this a little bit and then determine exactly if this is gonna be a good strategy for us. So right now it's automatically gonna target all of the United States. So let's say I'm a lawyer in New York City. And hit save. And let's drop this down. So Google pretty much is like, for all these personal injury terms, you can spend up to about $10,000 a day with broad match variations, right? Your CPA is going to be pretty low. From what I have seen in my experience, these CPAs are about 30 to 50% lower than what you're actually going to see when you go live with your account. So just think about that. I think Google's obviously trying to show you, this is the best of the best of the best, but it doesn't account for landing page issues, right? Or even just normal, market strains. You can go over here and add a conversion metric. So this will give you a little bit more of an accurate, CPA. So what are your conversion rates? If they're about 6%, hit save. Google will basically calculate the cost per click times the, or I guess not really cost per click, more so the clicks that are determined by your cost per click times your conversion rate to give you your CPA. Again, I always like to inflate this by about 30 to 50%. So Google's saying, if your average daily budget is 30, let's pump this up to, say I want to spend $100 a day. That comes out to about $3,000 a month, and Google says, hey, your CPA will likely be about $35, and you'll get 85 conversions from it. And then you can also filter by, okay, like what's going to be the the keywords that are costing me the most, right? And you can see, okay, this is in my market, this is in my market, this is what I want to focus on. But then if you see anything you don't want to focus on, you can always cut those off, right? So from here, if you want to see the floor, right, you want to see the exact match costs, just highlight all of them, hit edit match type, and then hit exact. And now Google's going to tell you a little bit more accurate of a CPA, right? So your cost per lead for exact match, spending $100 a day is going to be about $420. Again, that's going to fluctuate, but it does show how expensive these searches are. And again, remember, right, so the exact match is basically you're targeting people that are searching the exact phrase personal injury attorney, very bottom funnel, right? So a very competitive. The broad match version will trigger things like bankruptcy law firm, bankruptcy legal Zoom, competitor searches, right? So that's why it's so much cheaper. And you have to put yourself in that mindset, understanding, hey, I'm going to pay for quality. Obviously, you need to ensure if you're paying this much for a lead, your landing pages are perfect, your operations are perfect, your sales team is perfect, right? Because it's expensive. And so, again, just something to think about. So if you, once you've finished looking at the exact match versus the broad match, you can scroll down and actually get more detailed information about your geo. So you can see exactly what congressional districts are driving your conversions, driving your clicks, driving your costs, right? You can even filter this by postal codes. So like if you're looking at this, you're like, hey, I really only want to focus on this one postal code. I might be wasting money in these other areas. That can give you a level of insight when you create your campaign as well. Okay, so when you're done with this, you can create a campaign directly. Oftentimes I like to export into a Google Sheet to where I can kind of do some work and cut out a few of the keywords I don't like. I like creating my campaigns manually, but again, you can, Google's automated this pretty well, so you can just hit the create a campaign button, and then all of your research just goes right into a campaign. Okay, so once you've created your keyword strategy, there's a few things I wanted to touch on, which are really just best practices, right? The way I build out my campaigns and why I do certain things, right? So step one, utilize the keyword planner. Step two is understand, match type campaigns. Google's going to tell you to consolidate your keyword match types so that you can kind of hit from A to Z. I don't recommend that, right? Because I think it takes a lot of control from the specialist, right? So what I like to do is build out an exact match campaign, a broad match campaign, a phrase match campaign. Often I'll really only run an exact match with a small broad or a small phrase for keyword discovery. But again, that gives me more ability to pull some budget levers and push budget towards campaigns that are driving results, right? The exact match campaign, I have very, very high control. The broad match, I don't have as much control, right? And so being able to leverage match types at the campaign level, gives you the ability to optimize around what's driving real results. And then the third piece is do not forget about the power of negative keyword libraries, right? So negative keyword libraries helps give your campaigns guardrails, right? So if you are running a broad, if you are running a phrase match campaign, and there are certain, say you're a law firm, you don't ever want to rank for bankruptcy, for corporate law, or for general law firm terms. Make sure you have your own dedicated negative keyword library that you're adding to those campaigns, again, just to give it some swim lanes to make sure, hey, I only really want to target searches that are near my target market, right? You can even build out, competitive negative keyword libraries to ensure that you're not bidding on competitive searches, right? So just something to think about as you build out keyword plans. Okay, so thoughts on broad match. I wanted to create a dedicated slide for this because Google's really updated broad match in the last few years, right? We used to have broad match modifier, now there's really just broad match. And it's Google as an institution is really trying to push this match type. So think about this before you really leverage it. It's highly automated, right? So it takes a lot of the control out of your hand. Meaning, right, like if you're bidding on a lot of broad match keywords, generally you're not going to really fully understand the searches that you're going to rank from day one. Obviously, after the first few days, you can look at your search terms report and start to see what Google's bidding on. But Google, again, will even tell you, I've had a few meetings where they don't recommend negative keyword libraries anymore because they want Google to find what works and give the algorithm room to learn, right? Which again, it's dangerous, right? So if you're a limited budget and you don't want to experiment, be careful with that, right? Because it'll spend your money quickly and generate leads potentially that don't really work, don't really drive revenue. Number 3, like I mentioned, watch the search terms report. If you're running a broad match campaign every single day, comb through the search terms to understand, what am I bidding on? Am I bidding on competitors? Am I bidding on products I don't really offer? And then cut down the waste, right? So slowly over time, you can teach these algorithms exactly what you want. And you can do it a lot quicker if you're able to leverage search term campaigns. The 4th piece is, think about broad often as a consideration stage of the buying journey, right? There's a difference between, a personal injury attorney near me and what does a personal injury attorney do? How much do personal injury attorneys cost, right? Broad is going to trigger a lot of those searches, right? So think of it as a way to maybe drive people to your site in an affordable way, and then retarget them down the road using YouTube or display, right? So I think there's a place for broad match in the larger marketing funnel. I just don't know if it's really going to drive that hard acquisition, tight CPA, high ROI type campaign in the short term, right? And then the last piece is something I utilize broad match a lot for, keyword expansion, right? So I know the keyword planner is always a great place to start, but broad match often gives you a lot of unique searches that you would not find in any other capacity, right? So utilize it as a keyword expansion campaign. Again, it's a great tool. Just understand what it is and understand what it's not. Okay, so best practices for creating a keyword plan, right? It's really vital that you create keyword strategy based on what users are actually searching. Number 1, and I've said this a few times, but I live and die on negative keywords. Build out negative keywords and don't stop building out negative keyword lists, right? You're going to want to utilize your data in a really effective way. So every single day, think about this. The search term result is a living, breathing entity. There are new searches that rank that have never been searched every single day. So utilize your search terms report to build out really robust negative keywords that you don't want to serve on. Number 2, this is really audience driven, right? So it's important to look at your keywords as ways to build out specific targeted audiences. If you're a law firm, you might have a personal injury branch. You might have a business and corporate branch, right? Utilize really specific relevant keyword groups together so that, again, it's audience driven. You're sending all your PI law firm leads to a certain landing page and a certain experience. Same with business or corporate, or even with general law firm terms, right? So just something to think about. It's all about the audience. And that kind of leads me to my last point, which is creating themed campaigns and themed ad groups so that you have unique experiences, landing page experiences, ads, and even sales experiences for the people searching. Okay, so final thoughts. Again, you live and die by your keyword strategy in Google. Ultimately, it's a search engine, and the keyword strategy is really the lifeblood of these campaigns, right? So make sure you're doing it the right way, and make sure you understand really what these match types are and how to utilize them effectively. Don't forget your search terms report. It's kind of hidden. It's right under the keywords tab, but it's vital to being successful in Google Ads. And lastly, know your audience, right? Build an experience that is catered to them. Understand what they're searching for, what they want from your product or your service, and make sure you're aligning your keywords, your ads, your landing pages, and the overall customer experience. So that's really everything for part 3. Again, thank you so much for watching throughout this entire video. We're going to link to part 4, and we'll see you on the next one. Hey everyone, welcome to part 4 of our Google Ads course. In this specific course, we're going to be talking about audience targeting. So Google's audience solutions are a set of strategies and products that can help you reach high-value consumers that are in various stages of the buying journey. And if you watch through this entire video, we're actually going to be diving into the Google Ads platform to build out comprehensive audience targeting and audience campaigns. Okay, so audience solution in practice. So if you're an advertiser and you're utilizing Google search campaigns and you're bidding on the term bicycle sales online, every single person that searches bicycle sales online has different intent, different behaviors, different interests, and different characteristics, right? And the goal of audience targeting is being able to find the nuance in your target users and send them effective messaging that helps drive a productive sale, right? So some of the people searching bicycle sales online may have already visited your website and are in the middle of researching bicycles. Others might be just passionate about outdoor adventure and just want to see what's out there. Some of the people that are searching bicycle online are looking to purchase a new bicycle today or tomorrow. And then some have signed up for your email list but haven't quite made a purchase yet, right? So how are we able to target all of these users effectively? So tailored targeting. How can advertisers tailor their campaigns to really suit their various audiences? So Google Search Audience Solutions allow you to create audience lists based on a multitude of signals, and then layer those audience lists into your ad groups or your campaign. And this will allow you to really focus in your bids on different creatives, different audience signals, and different keywords, in a myriad of ways that end up driving results, right? So with audience solutions, you can combine the intent exhibited from a search like bicycle sales online with insights about those potential audiences. That way, you can really create more informed decisions that drive consumers to buy at the right time and in the right moment. So they have generally have a better experience with you, the advertiser. So you're evolving to meet the consumer expectation. And when you think about it like that, right, think about how technology continues to shape people's lives and the shopping behavior is continually changing. They expect digital experiences to be helpful, personal, and frictionless, very easy. So providing a seamless experience, no matter what the channel, helps them have a positive interaction and a positive experience with businesses and brands. Every time someone turns on their phone, they're looking for answers, right? Again, when someone searches bicycle sales online, they might not be ready for bicycle sales today, right? They might have read a blog yesterday. How do you target those people in a nuanced way that makes them feel like the experience is meant for them? So audience solutions really allow you to create these audience lists and then layer them into your ad groups, combining intent, insights, and the right messaging to the right consumer. And think about the search as not necessarily the final end-all be-all, right? If someone's searching bicycle sales online, they might not purchase, but a way to kind of bring them into your brand and your audience in general. And so this is really important because today's consumers expect, that easy, seamless, and tailored experience. And the only way you're really able to do that is to layer the right audiences in your campaign. Okay, so there are 3 types of audiences you can layer onto your search campaigns. We have affinity, detailed demographics, and in-market audiences. So affinity audiences are basically, people that show qualified interest in a topic. If a person regularly views videos about camping, recently searched for best fishing lures on Google, researching hiking trails on Google Maps, and then installing rock climbing apps on their phone, right? These all give Google signals. This is someone who has an affinity towards outdoor experiences, outdoor activities, right? If you're an online adventure sporting goods shop, you can then bid on those broad terms like adventure sports, knowing you can target affinity audiences that do show behavior that they're interested in fishing, right? Interested in outdoor types of experiences. And affinity audience is an interesting audience type because they might not necessarily be ready to buy tomorrow, and you might not even know exactly what they're interested in, but you do know, hey, these people like outdoor experiences, outdoor products. They go to Bass Pro Shop on the weekend, right? They, to the point I made earlier, they download climbing apps on their phone. it's really a branding tool and showing, audience types who you are, what you offer, and then slowly, through the buying journey, once you get them into your website analytics, and maybe they fill out a form, or they sign up for an email list, you can target them in different ways, right? But it's about bringing people into your brand, into your net, and affinity audiences specifically are really a big awareness and consideration audience. So detailed demographics is interesting, right? It's more of like specific aspects about a person, right? So parental status, parenting stages, home ownership status, marital status, education status, age. It's really, less so about behavior and more so about who they are specifically, right? Be careful with detailed demographics if you're in real estate or in financial services or any highly regulated industry, because Google has a few internal regulations around targeting, certain financial detailed demographic metrics. But this is a good audience if you have a very specific niche, right? Maybe an age of a person, home ownership status. It could be, parenting. Right? There's a lot of different nuance to audiences. And again, this is the whole aspect of the audience targeting. You're layering these audiences on top of each other and finding what combinations are working, what combinations are leading to your goal of branding, awareness, or, driving results. Okay, so the last audience solution is going to be in-market audiences. So Google's audience solutions can tell the difference between interest and intent, right? Being able to identify the groups that are in market for a product or service, separate from an affinity group, is extremely valuable, right? So targeting in market is basically people that are ready to buy at some point, right? They might have gone to a website, a fishing website, and added lures to their cart and then abandoned the cart, right? That's what we think about when we think about in market, right? I'm looking to buy. I am really heavily researched and ready for the right product or the right service to really land in my lap, right? And so when you think about the buying journey, awareness, consideration, and then action, in market really is kind of like the bridge between consideration and action. In market, I think for lead generation purposes is a really effective audience to layer and to play around with. But again, you want to use a holistic approach. You want to be able to layer on affinity audiences, detailed demographics, and in market along with your keyword strategy, right? These are all working together, and you're trying to feed Google a lot of audience signals at the end of the day. But okay, so now that we've dived into the 3 types of audience solutions, let's dive into Google Ads really quickly and actually look at how do we add these audiences to our campaigns, right? So now that we're in our test account, you're going to navigate to your campaigns and you're going to hit audiences. So Google's going to show you basically just your audience segments, your demographics, and your exclusions, and you're going to hit Add Audience Segment, and then at the campaign level, and then select a campaign. So in this example, we're actually going to use HVAC campaign. So there's 2 types of targeting, right? We have targeting and observation. So targeting is narrow the reach of your campaigns to select segments with options to adjust bids. This is basically going to be more focused, right? Think of targeting like exact match and observation like broad match, right? So observation is going to take a few liberties and maybe find people outside of what your audiences are. But again, Google recommends the observation because especially when you're doing high level audience targeting, you really don't know. You're making a lot of assumptions, right? There might be people that are in home and garden audience that is driving results for your HVAC campaign, and you didn't even understand that there was a link between home and garden and HVAC repair, right? So again, something to think about. So I like to usually start around observation. I like to use targeting when I know a specific audience is driving the results that I'm focused around. So let's make sure we're clicking observation. And then you can hit browse, and this way browse gives you basically all the options that you can select from and then dig a little bit deeper. But then if you're just trying to wonder, hey, is there an audience somewhere in Google that has to deal with HVAC? We can search that, right? So let's start with just the search and say, hey, is there any audiences around HVAC? And then Google will say, hey, there's climate control, plumbing services, home inspection, maybe not general contracting, but you can add a lot of these And then Google will tell you in-market audiences. These people are in market for plumbing services, in market for home inspection services, in market for climate control and air quality. And then when you hover above the audience, Google will actually tell you, hey, this segment is looking at fans online, air conditioning, ceiling light fixtures, and they're watching YouTube videos that have to deal with HVAC and climate control and fluid handling, right? So Google actually tells you, like, these are real people, that are really online doing research and looking at, various climate control and air quality, right? And so you can scroll down and just look through all the different aspects. If we want to do a little bit more browsing, we can go into the affinity and just see what they have, right? So you can break down pretty much any one of these audiences to find an even more detailed audience. You can do it at the broad level, right? So you can do all of home and garden, which I don't recommend because that audience is so large, right? It's hard to really understand what's driving results. Or you can hit this drop down right here. And then within the home and garden drop down, do-it-yourselfers, home decor enthusiasts, you can click something like that. You can drop down the lifestyle hobbies, and then find family-focused hobbies. Like, you can get really detailed with this approach, and this can kind of give you some ideas of what is out there. And again, this is the affinity audience, so maybe you're just trying to find people that are do-it-yourselfers that might need some HVAC repair down the line, but are really focused on improving their home, right? We can go back to the in-market audiences here, and then again dive deeper into some of these aspects, some of these targeting options. So we can hit home and garden, and the in-market audiences have a lot more options, right? So now we can go into, let's look at home appliances and see what's out there. Okay, it looks like we already have the climate control, but there might be a few other options we want to target. And again, like with the observation right here, the observation targeting method, Google might actually show you what are other audiences that you're not targeting but are driving results. And you can do that in the audience manager pretty quickly. And then we can go back and then we can hit your combined audience segments. You have nothing here. And then we can hit detailed demographics, and this is where you're going to see the parents, marital status, education. And I've seen Google really not push some of these audience segments, as Facebook and Meta has seen a lot of success with their audience segments, right? So again, this gives Google a whole nother lever to pull when it comes to audience targeting. Okay, so now that we've now that we jumped into Google Ads and we actually looked at how do we add audiences to our campaigns, I wanted to do a little bit more of a deep dive into really how these signals work, right? So you have signals, surveys, and scale. So Google's intelligent algorithms leverage behavior on Google, YouTube, Google Maps, Google Shopping, and even more to identify relative patterns and behaviors. And then from there, they're able to segment people into these audiences. So signals and audience signals and website signals, internet signals in general, it's a huge driving force for the accuracy of these audiences. And number two is surveys. I'm sure most people have seen this, but if you go on YouTube, a lot of times you randomly will get a survey from Google saying, hey, do you use this product? Are you interested in this service? And it's basically Google trying to find people that they can lump into these in-market audiences, right? And Google actually is able to validate a lot of this through their surveys and conversion data. And then the last piece for how these signals work is scale. So as users move more between mobile and desktop, Google is able to maintain a holistic picture of their behaviors, helping brands reach users across a lot of devices, right? So Google is able to find the types of behavior you use online, use surveys and conversion data to confirm that behavior, and then scale these media campaigns across desktop and mobile and find these users where they're at. So I wanted to touch a little bit on really what your marketing goals are and how do audience signals play into that, right? So, the marketing funnel is really large. I like to use these really three buckets just to give some level of simplicity to it, but there's awareness, there's people understanding a brand exists. There's consideration, which is when you start to think about your needs in the marketplace and looking at different options. And then there's action when you're ready to buy, right? So oftentimes awareness, the audience that fits really well for awareness is detailed demographics, and it's affinity audiences, right? So I kind of mentioned this before, but it's usually like there is an audience, there's a group of people that my product would benefit, right? And they might know it, not know it yet, right? Say you're a coffee alternative, a tea, right? And you want to create awareness about your tea product to coffee drinkers. Target affinity audience of people that really like, that really go to Starbucks a lot, or big coffee drinkers go to certain websites that have to deal with coffee, like Trade Coffee, right? Or maybe moms or dads that are highly caffeinated, right? So you can start to layer on some of these audiences in the awareness stage to show them who you are and what your product can benefit, how your product can benefit them, right? And that's what we mean when we talk about awareness. So the consideration, right? This, like I mentioned before, in-market audiences are really big for consideration. It's people that are aware of a product, but they might not be aware of your brand, and they're doing a lot of research, right? So you leverage these in-market audiences to find users that are kind of early on in the buying process, and they just need to be aware of your brand and your product and how it fits for them, right? Okay, in action, and I know I haven't really touched on utilizing your own first-party data, but leverage customer match, right? Download your past customers or people that might want to buy again, or people that have signed up for your email list, and pump that into Google, right? You could also leverage your remarketing audiences, and I feel like in terms of audience targeting for the sole purpose of action, you can't get a better audience than remarketing and people that have already been exposed to your brand, that are highly interested, highly engaged, and ready to make an action. So final thoughts, right? Google's audience solutions really allow advertisers to create audience lists based on a lot of different signals and then layer those on into ad groups. So just don't forget about the different audience options you have in Google, what and how they might benefit your specific campaign and your specific campaign's goals. If your campaign is to drive hard sales, drive hard inquiries today, maybe affinity audiences isn't really for that campaign. If your campaign is a lot of views, trying to get my product out there, no one knows my brand, maybe affinity audiences is perfect for that, right? So just think about how these audience solutions fit into your goals. Overall, that's going to be everything for part 4, audience solutions and audience targeting. We're going to link to part 5, and we'll see you on the next one. Hey everyone, welcome to part 5 of our Google Ads course. And in this specific course, we're going to be talking all about responsive search ads, right? So what they are, why they matter, best practices, and then we're going to jump directly into the Google Ads user interface to actually write a few ads just to ensure that you are writing ads that are going to rank at the top of Google. So we can just jump right in. So with billions of searches happening every day on Google, how do you ensure that your ad is going to be relevant? So responsive search ads are essentially Google's product to the Google Ads ecosystem that helps solve this problem, right? 15 headlines, 4 descriptions, and Google really, will rotate through all 4 of the descriptions and all 15 of the headlines to find a combination that best suits the user search. So like I stated, why do responsive search ads matter? RSAs offer an opportunity to provide up to 15 headlines and 4 descriptions. And while each ad will still show up, in a 3 headline, 2 description format, Google basically gets to decide what's the best asset combination that creates the highest click-through rate and the best overall experience for the user searching. So simplicity, right? You get to save time by creating one ad with multiple headlines and multiple descriptions that, formerly with expanded text ads might be 3 or 4 different ad types, right? So you get to, simplify the actual ad creation process. The number 2 reason why they matter is just the flexibility, right? So you get to create an ad that adapts to different devices, different device widths, right? I know there's a big difference in user type from mobile to desktop. And so RSAs really give you the ability to create ads that can fit both formats. And control, right? So you're still providing all the content, you're writing the content in a specific format, but if you need your brand name to be, in the first or second or third headline, or you want to have a call to action at that third headline slot, you can actually pin your headlines to the ads to ensure that they never move from that specific position. And then the fourth piece to why RSAs matter and why they're important is really just the performance aspect, right? So you get to reach more potential users by increasing your opportunity to compete in more auctions, right? So with the ability for Google to continually rotate your ads and find the best solution for users, you actually get to compete in more auctions, right? And I know Google Ads isn't built on a CPM auction, but you will see, your ads will see more impressions because of the various combinations and testing that Google's trying to do to find, ultimately the best combination. So the responsive search ads UI, so inside Google Ads, when we're about to jump right in, but I wanted to show this view just so you can see really quickly what's really important, right? So you're gonna have your final URL, that's where you're gonna put your landing page. You're also gonna put a display URL that fits into your overall theme. And then you have all your headline types, description types. The last piece that's really important to notice is on the right-hand side, Google's gonna give you an ad strength, almost grader, right? Where it tells you how well your ad is written, what updates you need to make to it, whether it's a headline adjustment or a description adjustment, and then it can show you, both the mobile and the desktop version. So let's jump right into Google Ads and actually build out a few ads. Okay, so now that we're in Google Ads, we're in our test account. You're going to navigate to your campaign. So in this specific example, we're actually going to use just a mortgage campaign. So we're going to click on it, and then you're going to go into your specific ad group, and then when you're within the ad group that you want to use, we're going to use mortgage lender. Then it'll direct you right to your ad section. Okay, so click this blue button right here, and Google's going to give you the ability to select a responsive search ad or a call ad. And Google used to have expanded text ads, but they have sunset that product, so they're fully RSAs or call ads. Okay, so basically Google's automatically filling in a lot of our headlines based on our keywords and our other ads we have. But like I mentioned, the first thing you're going to see is you're going to see this final URL right here. So make sure, this is the primary landing page that you want this audience type or this group of people to see. And then you're going to see, different variations of what your ad's going to look like, right? So we have the mobile version, and it's going to continually rotate. Like I mentioned before, it's going to show you, the different formats that you can utilize within the Google Ads user interface. So then if you want to see what it's going to look like on desktop, if you're an agency, this is always a great way to quickly grab a few screenshots for your clients to show them what your ads are going to actually look like. And you can run through these previews too. So it's a really cool way to see, your ads in real time. The second piece is going to be your display path or display URL. So, if we're focusing, right, this example is on mortgage clients, and it's going to be for mortgage lenders. So people searching for the exact term mortgage lender near me. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you're putting, in my opinion, the keyword that's going to be clicked on the most, right? So in this example, it's going to be mortgage lender. So we're going to want to put mortgage lender in some variation inside our display path. Then we're going to scroll down, and Google's going to give us a bunch of headline options, right? So they see we've got mortgage lender near me, they've got this click on more ideas, and then Google's going to, again, do a lot of the heavy lifting. So they want you to insert these keywords. Again, there's a level of automation, and once we plug in all of the options Google's giving us, we're going to then dive in and make a few more tweaks just to make sure that we're getting the click-through rate that we want to achieve, right? So let's add home loan lender. Let's go. And right when we type that, you should see this turn to green. Boom, that turns to green. Now mortgage lenders near me. So let's go to top mortgage lenders. And a lot of times you can combine them. So let's see if this fits in the character count. Okay, so it does. So top mortgage lenders near me. That should eliminate it. Okay, and then the last piece is going to be private mortgage lenders. So let's go down here and change out mortgage company to private mortgage lenders. And that should suffice. So we should have all of the keywords, right? The second piece here is going to be ensuring that you're writing strong calls to action. So I usually have like a 30-30-30 rule, right? So make sure 33% of your ads, are focused on your product. 33% are focused on your value proposition, right? What you bring to the table that's different from other competitors. And then 33% are going to be calls to action, especially when you're creating a new ad group or a new RSA from scratch. This gives Google a lot of, equivalent variations so that it's matching, value proposition with call to action and with a branded term, right? So, or with a keyword term, right? So let's run through these headlines and just assess them, right? So find a mortgage lender. I think that's really fitting the search term or the query term. Same with home loan lender, best mortgage company. So we might want to get a little bit more specific besides best mortgage company, right? You might want to say mortgage company with integrity or lowest rates mortgage company, something along those lines, right? This is more of your call to action, right? See your cost in minutes. That's a unique call to action that you don't often see. A lot of times you'll see very vanilla terms like learn more or talk to an expert. Those aren't necessarily wrong, but sometimes it's good to add in a little more interesting and nuanced calls to action. Do not overpay for a mortgage. So this is your value proposition. Again, this angle's coming at, hey, we're a mortgage broker. We find the best rates, don't overpay, see your cost in minutes, right? And that's going to generate a great click-through rate. So again, show your value. Another value proposition, great rates, easy process. Another call to action, get started today, fast, easy, friendly. Again, that's another value proposition. We run through these 100% satisfaction guaranteed. And then we go back to the keyword terms, right? Private mortgage lender, get pre-approved in minutes. That's a call to action. So I think we're covered pretty well here in terms of just what our makeup, our headline makeup is going to look like. Another really cool tool and tactic that you don't often see because it's a little hidden, but they're called dynamic text headlines. So in this example, right, we're targeting Arizona. So if you're targeting the entire state of Arizona, but you want to be a little bit more city or regional specific, what we can do is we can delete this right here and then put your curly brackets. And Google's then going to pop down keyword insertion, location insertion, right? So let's do a location insertion and let's do city. And if there's no city, we're going to just keep it at Arizona, right? So basically what this is doing is that if someone is in Phoenix and they're searching mortgage brokers, this is automatically going to default towards Phoenix top brokers, right? But maybe let's adjust the top to just Phoenix brokers near you, right? And let's go back to this really quick. So like I said, this is going to default to whatever city that they're searching from. But again, this is a great tool and tactic to try to get that click-through rate and show it a few different variations. You can also use state or county, but generally I think city is usually best if you're targeting a whole state. So then you're going to just click apply, and then that's the format it's going to look at. You can also, this might not be a lead generation tactic, but more so e-commerce, you can, if you're having a specific sale, you can do timelines, right? So let's just, for the sake of showing what this tool does, let's say curly brackets again and do countdown. So we can say countdown end of the day. So starts at 5. So basically you hit apply and you can say, basically, 5 days left for 50%. And this will dynamically continually change as you get closer to your end date. And then the last dynamic tool that I like using is keyword insertion, right? So if you're targeting like a very specific keyword grouping and you want to ensure you're driving as many people to your landing page as possible, a lot of times you can just do a dynamic, we'll do our default text will be, right, mortgage brokers near me. But what this is going to do is it's going to dynamically insert whatever their search term is, right? It could be, lowest rate mortgage breakers, boom, and then it'll insert right into the headline. And you're going to drive a lot of really great clicks, right? You could see, if you have a very broad keyword grouping, you could see downstream conversions decreasing because of this, right? Because maybe people are clicking on your site, but because of the headline, but it's largely irrelevant to what they're actually searching. So be a little bit careful with that one. But other than that, I think the city and the timeline, they're always a great way to add some different nuance to your headlines. And then the last piece, in terms of our headlines are going to be just pinning, right? Don't forget to add your brand name to it, right? So if you're, AZ Brokers, that's the name of your brand. Don't forget to pin that there just so they know exactly what their brand is. Again, if you ever registered an LLC or a trademark, add that in too. It helps give a little bit of authority. So you can have this ad in the second position, and then Google is always going to show your brand name in that second position. Again, something to think about if you're really trying to develop a brand at the same time. And then in descriptions, Google's pretty clear, right? Make your headlines more unique. So we need to add headlines that are a little bit less vanilla to get our ad strength up. So again, make sure they're all very unique. And if you're having a hard time building out headlines that are creative and unique, look at your competitors, right? Dig into the search terms report and see what are other people doing that I'm not thinking about. Go to your website to build out different descriptions, but don't forget to ensure that they're unique, have a call to action, and plug in your keywords into your descriptions, because when you're searching, Google will often bold the keywords people are searching inside descriptions and headlines, and it helps just, again, drive that click-through rate, which ultimately improves your ad rank and your overall quality score. And there's a few more nuances. You can add site links. Again, we're going to have a whole other course on just site links specifically, but this really covers, how do we jump into the UI and build out headlines, build out descriptions, and responsive search ads that are going to generate good results. So we can jump right back into the course. Okay, so when you're writing responsive search ads, there's a few best practices that I wanted to dive into, right? So always create 2 RSAs per ad group. Don't ever go with one. You want to give Google multiple options. So, if you create 2 RSAs, that'll give you about 30 headlines and 8 descriptions for Google to be able to rotate and find, positive results. And then from there, if you start seeing ads go stale or you see one ad that's not performing, switch it out. You can add up to 3, right? But generally 2 is the standard. Number 2, I know I've said this a few times, insert keywords into your headlines and insert keywords into your descriptions. Often descriptions are forgotten about, but it's a really vital part for your ad strength to improve and to get those click-through rates to a point that's going to reduce your cost per click. Number 3, I mentioned leverage dynamic headlines. This is a tactic and tool that is often, not utilized to its potential, but it can really help improve your CTRs and really gives a different type of ad or ad experience to your consumer than just the normal headlines you're going to see. Number 4, update your RSAs every 2 weeks. If you have one RSA that's just really performing well, let that one run, but often there'll be one that gets fatigued or doesn't perform to the way that you want. And then that 5th piece is going to be monitor your ad strength score. So in Google Ads, one of the columns in your RSAs and in your ad section is going to be ad strength. So monitor that score. I have seen sometimes it's strong and then it decreases because you pause a keyword or add a few keywords, right? So make sure you're always monitoring that week to week. So final thoughts. So RSAs are extremely flexible and really useful in the Google Ads search ecosystem, right? So just ensure you're utilizing them to its full potential. Don't forget the 15-4 rule, right? So 15 headlines, 4 descriptions. Make sure you're maximizing all of your headlines and all of your descriptions. It's not required, right? But it's really vital to see your click-through rate and your ad strength increase and reduce your overall costs. So make sure you're maxing out all headlines and all descriptions. And then the last piece is really always looking at your ad strength. So don't forget to look at your ad strength. This is really Google telling you how to improve results and how to decrease costs. So overall, that is Google Ads Part 5, Responsive Search Ads. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Hey everyone, welcome to part 6 of our Google Ads course. In this specific course, we're going to be talking about ads and ad extensions. So every consumer query is different, and Google is trying to reflect every specific need. So whether users are looking for general info, a product, location-specific information, or something different, Google's trying to give them a relevant result, and that's really how ad extensions can help provide that type of information to users in a way that benefits the advertiser and the search intent. And so in this module specifically, we're going to be talking about ad extensions, how to build them out correctly, why they matter, best practices, and then we're going to actually jump into the user interface and build out a few variations of ad extensions. So why do ad extensions matter, right? So ad extensions are a product add-on that serve on your existing responsive search ads, and they highlight relevant information about your business and what you offer. So ad extensions specifically help users engage in a relevant, engaging ways, right? So they can lead to a better ad experience for the user and better ad performance for the advertiser. One of the key benefits, right, is standing out. So ad extensions make your text ads stand out, and can help increase engagement from an end user, right? So if you are left between two ads, an ad with site links and an ad without site links, right? Your ad with site links is going to drive a better click-through rate because you have more information, it's more robust, and it's just a better experience overall. So number 2 is driving efficiency. So these added clicks often come at a lower CPC than a click that is not on your ad extension, right? So it really helps reduce costs and drive efficiency. And then the last piece is boosting conversion. So giving users relevant information up front often translates to a better qualified lead, right? So if you're serving for mortgage leads, right? And you have your initial ad, which discusses, hey, we're a mortgage lender in your area, get a quote, and then you also have a site link that talks about mortgage calculator. Maybe someone who clicks on that mortgage calculator has a good experience, goes back to the original link and fills out a form and is very qualified, right? Because you gave them more information than just a form fill, right? So something to think about with site links. Okay, so there are 3 universal extensions. We have site links, callouts, and structured snippets. So site links are additional links that appear under the text of the search ad, directing users to specific pages on your website, right? You can have contact us pages, a blog, a page that has a lot of very relevant product information. And site links have very specific benefits, right? So like adding a site link can boost the average click-through rate of your ad, and they can also reduce the steps to conversion by bringing users directly to the right place. Best practices are often just adding as many relevant and useful site links as you can, but 8 to 10 is ideal, right? So no less and no more. If you have too few site links, then you're not going to have really relevant or robust information. If you have too many, it's going to take too much time for Google to kind of run through all of them and find a good combination. The second piece is going to be call-out extensions, right? And they're just very short and specific snippets of text. The benefit of call-outs are really just using the call-out to highlight information about value-adding attributes that your business or product can offer, right? This is not a link click. It's more of just, it is what it is. It's a call out of a benefit to give your ad an extra edge over the competition. The best practices with call outs are really just keeping your call out as short and specific as possible to highlight just really quick value propositions that are unique to your business. You should only really include at least 6 call outs in your campaign. Again, if you have too few, you're not really going to be able to give your user a robust view of what your business or product offers, and you'll have competitors that are able to do that, right? So make sure you have at least 6. So structured snippets allow you to describe further features about a specific service or product before the user can actually click on it. And using structured snippets can help you get a more qualified click, right? A more qualified lead after they're able to view just various aspects of your product or service. They're able to click on your website and then know, hey, this is in fact something that I'm looking for, right? Best practices, just make sure your headers selected provide information that's useful and attractive to the end user. So additional extensions, we have call, location, and app. Again, this is not going to be perfect for every advertiser, right? Like an app extension is not going to work for a local bank, just like a call extension is not going to work for an e-commerce wind chime company, right? So just make sure you know the benefit of the extension before you just blanketly add it to your ads. The call extension, it's pretty straightforward, right? You're just encouraging users to call your business directly from a search ad, right? So this is only going to display on the mobile. This is great for service-based companies that have call centers or sales reps that are on their phone during business hours. Basically, when a call extension shows, users can click on the ads or the ad extensions and call your business directly. Again, this is really best for if you have dedicated sales reps that can handle calls throughout the days. throughout the day. And best practices for call extensions are really just enable your phone call conversion reporting in the account settings so you can track conversions, right? So whether you have 30-second, 60-second, or 90-second conversion cycles, just ensure that they are accurate to your sales team so you can legitimately track the leads coming through this format. The next additional extension is going to be location. So location extensions provide consumers with directions to your business. This is really great for local restaurants, right? If you own a local brick and mortar and you want to drive traffic to your website or to your store, location extensions are a great way to drive people directly to the maps and bring them into your web, right? So how they work, location extensions show your business address, phone number, and map marker along your ad text. And usually this is only working for mobile devices. Best practices, so location extensions are served via Google My Business account. So ensure your Google My Business account is linked to your Google Ads before you go live with this type of ad extension. And then app extensions, right? So app extensions, pretty straightforward. They're really to promote downloads of your mobile app. So if you have a game or you have like a text-free type app that drives revenue through ads or something like this is really going to be perfect, right? So how it works, if a consumer is searching for something and they click on this extension, it will directly download the app on their mobile phone. Best practices, so just make sure you're implementing app extensions to serve on both brand and generic keywords. Don't limit this extension to just the keywords driving mobile app downloads, since users also have the option to click through your website. So what are automated ad extensions? So very similar to advertisers providing ad extensions, automated ad extensions give consumers relevant information up front, which can often translate into a more qualified lead. So every Google Ads account gets opted into all automated ad extensions they're eligible for. The content for automated extensions is carefully generated by machine learning and supported by a dedicated team. So automated ad extensions specifically give consumers relevant information, and it often leads to a user that's really ready to make a sale or ready to book your service, right? So they're very flexible, they're very consumer driven, but Google's able to test them methodically to drive the results that you're looking for, right? So automated extensions remind me a lot of responsive search ads, right? Where you're giving Google a lot of control. But with that control comes, consumer-driven automation that inevitably helps your results on your campaigns, right? So just think about that with automated ad extensions. You're giving Google the ability to rotate through different extensions to find combinations that are going to generate results. So examples of automated extensions, we have dynamic site links, right? So dynamic site links are automatically generated site links that can serve with search ads, and they're optimized to direct consumers to relevant pages contextually on your website. Google is basically able to scan your website, find pages that users are really looking for, and then give them to your target audience and your target user to help drive clicks and reduce costs. So dynamic structured snippets are features that automatically show useful structured user information. This data shows for very relevant queries as an additional line of non-clickable text in a format of header, value 1, value 2, and value 3, right? So think about if you're a hotel and you have amenities, you can have your header as amenity, and then value 1 could be massage, value 2 could be fine dining, and then value 3 could be flexible check-in, right? So that's an example of dynamic structured snippet in action. The dynamic callouts are automatically generated callouts that can serve with your search ads, and this text is pulled directly from the content of your website, like the rest of these automated extensions as well. So think about get a free quote, book online, stores nationwide. These are all callouts that could get pulled from your content on your website that might be a good fit for the user searching or whatever ad type. So now we're going to just jump right into the UI and actually build out a few ad extensions and show you where to find them, how to build them out correctly, and just best practices. So when you hop into the UI, go to your campaign, hit Ads and Assets, and then under Ads, you're going to see Assets tab and click on that. And then from there, Google's going to give you a way to filter and sort your extensions in various ways, right? So you can hit all to see all of them, but you can also just run through each one of these and start to develop different extensions from there, right? So we're going to start with site links. Hit the blue plus sign. So So we're going to create new site links. Okay, so again, think about site links as another ad format, right? So you want to ensure that you're putting information that you don't have in your ad, right? So if you have a contact us page, if you have a mortgage calculator, again, this is for a mortgage client, and see how it displays on the screen like that, so you're able to really visualize what these are going to look like. You could also put, if you have access to home prices in your area, you can put home prices. And then for this last one, you can just build out, again, meet the team. And this will basically be a link to all of the loan officers that work for your site or work for your company. And then on this last one, you can just put, find a loan officer, right? And you can link to almost like a loan officer navigator site, right? If you have a big corporate site. And then under these, you want to explain what they are and use both descriptions, right? So contact us is going to basically just be like, contact a mortgage lender and, get the process started. Mortgage calculator, again, it's going to be, find out how much you're going to pay a month. Same for home prices, look at home prices in your area, and then the last piece is going to be finding loan officers in your area. Again, it's really important to have a deep knowledge of the industry that you're marketing for through Google so that you can build out comprehensive site links that really meet consumers' needs. And then down here, you have URL options. Don't forget to add your universal tracking metrics, your UTMs here, so you can track what site links are driving results. Now we can hover to callouts. We hit the blue button. Again, callouts are going to be just like I mentioned. You're going to want to just call out different value propositions of your business. If it's low rates, it could be great service. Again, this is just an added benefit, added product benefit for the advertisers to be able to really show who they are in a unique way, but highlight what's different from them from the other ads that the user is going to see. Now we're at structured snippet. Like I mentioned before, you've got the amenities, brands, courses. Google really gives you only a few options, so you have to be creative. Again, if you're a mortgage company, this is something I leverage a lot. Put types, and then you could put FHA loan, VA loan, conventional. And again, the user's going to see, oh, this has, I'm a military guy looking for loans in my area, and they offer VA loans, right? Again, it's just an area to drive higher qualified leads by showing different products that you have that your competitors might not be advertising for. And then call extension is pretty straightforward. You're basically just putting a number that works for your sales team, right? So add the number right here. You can create different bids for call interaction bid adjustment. You can add some more advanced options like creating a schedule. If you only have a loan officer or a sales rep working 9 to 5, make sure you input that in the call extension as well. Lead forms is something I didn't mention inside of the course, but we can jump on it really quickly. It's just a native way to generate leads. You need to have this connected to a Zapier account. I've seen this generate very mixed results, right? Often I don't see the best quality leads coming from lead forms in the same way that I don't see those qualified leads coming from lead forms on Meta or Facebook ads, right? So generally I like to stay away from this and just drive my users and clicks directly to our website. And then you get your price, app, and promotion. Again, this is for e-commerce. You can basically show the direct prices you're selling inside your merchant center for your products. With app, you need to link your app account to Google so that people can download those apps directly. And then for promotions, again, another e-commerce extension, you're able to actually show discounts you're having or special offers that you're having. But overall, that's a quick look under the hood inside the Google Ads UI on how to build out ad extensions that end up converting. Okay, so final thoughts, right? So why are ad extensions important? It's really important to give your ad the best fighting chance to win in the auction, the best fighting chance to drive that click, right? There are thousands of clicks. There are hundreds of advertisers in each individual auction, and it's really important to give your ads an extra boost, whether it's more information or just a better look and feel from the user's perspective, but they're vital for success inside Google Ads. The second piece is just different extensions for different goals, right? So make sure that you're using the right extensions for the right marketing goals, right? If you really want to drive people towards certain pages, use your site links. If you have a great sales team that can handle calls, add those calls. Just make sure that you're utilizing, you don't need to use all of them, right? But just make sure you're adding as many as you can that are still relevant to your marketing goals. And then the last piece is going to be just automated solutions, right? Give Google the ability to rotate through these assets and these extensions to find the right combination that drives results. So overall, thanks for watching part 6 of ads with extensions. We'll see you on the next one. Hey everyone, welcome to part 7 of our Google Ads course. In this specific course, we're going to be talking all about bidding strategies. So bidding really is the key to success with online marketing, and a bid strategy you can choose directly influences how your campaigns perform and the overall visibility of your ad. You're going to want to watch this entire video because we're actually going to dive deeper into the Google Ads platform and give you best practices on automated manual bidding and really just how to set up your account for success. All right, so what is automated bidding? What is manual bidding? So essentially, bidding is really just a decision process on how to prioritize certain keywords to certain users, right? Manual bidding is really just, again, it's in the name, a manual process of setting bids based on performance, right? Do you want to pull back desktop bids? Do you want to increase mobile bids or certain keywords driving better success, right? And it's really, again, the process of going in there and manually making those decisions. Whereas automated bidding is a bid strategy that automatically sets bids based on your ad's likelihood to result in a click or a conversion depending on the bid strategy, right? So automated bidding is really feeding in all that data and making decisions for you, right? To ensure that your campaigns are reaching your desired results. But why are we going to use automated bidding versus manual bidding, right? I think ultimately automated bidding is the future of Google for a few reasons. Number one, performance, right? So bids will influence how visible your ads are and the amount of interactions that you're going to get, right? And automated bidding with enough data can often achieve your desired results or even exceed your desired results if you've set it up appropriately, right? Number two is going to be the auction, right? So given the dynamic nature of auctions, there are thousands of queries happening every single day. And beyond just at the query level, there's a lot of audience signals and user experience quirks that factor into the overall auction, right? So it's very difficult for you to go in at a manual level with large complex accounts and making all these decisions that are going to direct in clicks or conversions, right? So automated bidding really helps drive performance at the auction level without the advertiser going in there and trying to make a lot of bid adjustments, a lot of manual adjustments, right? So that's something to be mindful of, really. It helps drive performance inside the auction. And then the last piece is going to be your user journey. So like I mentioned, there are so many signals that influence user behavior, their intent, their likelihood to complete valuable actions, and Google ultimately understands what's behind each click, right? Google often can determine if a user is going to be high quality, ready to make a purchase today, or is more in the consideration phase, right? And so if your ads are ranked well and you have the appropriate bid strategy, Google can find the users that are ready to convert and serve them your specific experience, right? So those are really some of the 3 factors that are driving automated bidding and the future of automated bidding in Google Ads. The benefits of automated and smart bidding, right? So smart bidding is really just another term for automated bidding. It's where you're giving Google just a ton of control. And again, be mindful with this. With any automated solution, you're going to need a ton of data. Without data, these automated solutions don't work, right? Without a good user experience on the landing page, on the ads, these automations aren't going to work, right? You can have the best campaign configuration, but if they're going to a bad landing page that isn't converting, it'll never work, right? So you have to think about everything that's surrounding the bid strategy and really set it up for success, right? With that said, there are a ton of really great benefits towards smart bidding and automated bidding, right? So the goal of most marketing campaigns is ultimately to reach the right user with the right message at the right time. As consumers span multiple devices, the customer journey has become much more complex. Automated smart bidding can honestly help bring in a lot of the data points that are under the hood that you as the advertiser don't fully see to bid on a user, not necessarily a search, right? And that's the overall goal, right? We're trying to generate results, not necessarily just a ton of clicks, right? And that's really valuable, right? So Google Ads automated bidding helps solve a lot of these complex, sophisticated challenges by automatically setting bids based on your performance goals, right? I mean, that's something to keep in mind. Every automated bidding solution needs a goal to drive towards, right? And so you have to be very focused on understanding, the conversion value of each lead, right? The CPL that's going to drive the best ROI, and then you feed that data into your smart bidding solution. So number one, right, the biggest benefit is going to be machine learning, right? So smart bidding uses machine learning algorithms to really help set an appropriate bid at every auction. And this takes much of the heavy lifting and guesswork at setting your own bids, right? So it's able to understand the competitive landscape, the search demand, your quality, factor it all in for a bid that's actually going to win the auction, so you're not losing impression share. Number two, time saved, right? So cross-reference audience data with context to establish intent to set the appropriate bids is complex, time-consuming task, right? And automation kind of helps, save you a ton of time, right? I know I have some accounts where if I went through and tried to manually bid on every single keyword, every single device adjustment, it would take me hours, right? And so it helps reduce the load so you can focus on what matters, which, like I mentioned before, is feeding the right data and being a strategist on the account. Number three is going to be auction time bidding. So Google's bidding algorithm is really tailored towards each user's unique context using those relevant signals that present at each auction time, right? So Google can, in less than a second when the auction is happening, determine what leads, what clicks are really highly valuable that are going to result in your ultimate goal, your ultimate marketing focus, right? Fourth piece is going to be depth of signal. So Google's algorithm really integrates a large variety of signals, and I know I have another I think part 3 or part 4 audience targeting course talks a little bit more about audience signals and what they are, but Google's basically able to see the sites you're on, right? They conduct surveys, so they know really what users respond really well to certain messaging or certain ads, right? And what users are farther down that buying journey. And so depth of signals is not something you necessarily have when you're manually bidding. So again, you want to really utilize these automated solutions so you're bidding beyond just the query, beyond just the keyword, and you're really focused on who the user behind the search is. And that's really some of the biggest benefits to utilizing smart and automated bidding. Okay, so how do we choose the right bidding strategy, right? Ultimately, it comes down to you understanding what your marketing goals are, right? Google Ads offers several bidding strategies to choose from. And the strategy you choose really helps depend on the network of your campaign is targeting, the type of user, and your overall KPI, right? Key performance indicator. Whether it's a click, is it visibility, is it views, is it conversions, is it revenue, right? And ROI. And I think ultimately when you understand what your goals are, is it awareness, is it consideration, is it that conversion, you can set bidding strategies that are going to drive that goal, right? As you feed in the appropriate data. So Google has a myriad of different bidding strategies. So there's target impression share, and this really helps your ads meet a specific impression share threshold for a specific location, right? So think about impression share like market share. If you have a 95% impression share for a keyword, out of all of those searches, you're serving about 95%, which is extremely high. I see target impression share, the specific bid strategy, work really well for branded campaigns, but ultimately it's not a great strategy for low funnel, non-branded, right? Because it's not going to drive towards conversion. It's not going to drive towards revenue. It's really just driving towards making sure your ad is seen and has the appropriate bid to outbid everyone else, right? So think about that more as an awareness and branding style bid strategy. Then for consideration, you have maximize clicks. You also have manual CPC, ECPC, right? Those are not automated; those are more manual, but something to think about, right, as well. So maximize clicks really sets your bids to just get as many clicks as possible. And I don't often recommend maximize clicks, right? I usually leverage manual cost per click if I'm focused on the click. And often this is really something in the early infancy of a campaign. You're going to focus on clicks because you don't really have any data, right? So when you don't have a ton of data, you want to be able to view your keywords, view your search terms, and really understand what clicks are driving results, what clicks are more expensive, right? And then from there, you can kind of start to build out a more comprehensive conversion-based approach. But again, think about maximize clicks or ECPC as the first few months while you're trying to understand what your baseline cost per lead is going to be, right? And then once you have a lot of data and you want to start to bid more towards conversion and less so consideration, you're going to want to think about maximize conversions, TCPA, and TROAS, right? So maximize conversions without a CPA target is going to drive as much conversion volume as possible within your budget. It's often pretty dangerous to not put a CPA target on your max conversions, especially if you don't have a ton of data, because Google is going to kind of go crazy, right? You could be bidding way higher and it really not driving a ton of revenue, and it takes a lot more data to bring the target CPA or just the overall account CPA down to something that you can afford, right? So think about that. I often recommend, if you're switching to a conversion bid strategy, go maximize conversion with the target CPA based on your historical data, right? So like I mentioned, in the beginning of a campaign, you're going to want to focus on getting clicks, getting data. Once you have your baseline, switch over to maximize conversions, set your CPA at your historical cost per acquisition. And that strategy often really yields great sustainable results. And then you can think about other marketing campaigns and other variations of really scaling that channel. And then TROAS, so target return on ad spend. This is something going to be for our enterprise clients, right? SA360 users, or really large e-commerce campaigns. Really, the goal here, and it works best it actually only really works if you can feed in revenue data through offline conversions or some sort of CRM integration or merchant center integration, right? Then Google can understand exactly the revenue implications of every click. So once you have a ton of revenue data fed in, you can then create a TROAS, a return on ad spend target, similar to return on investment target, that's going to drive results, right? So if you want to see a 1,000, return on ad spend, set it to 1,000. If you think you can achieve that, right, maybe go down to 500. If you're, blowing out of the water and you want to scale, start to increase that to maybe 2,000 to 3,000, right? So TROAS is a little bit more of a sophisticated smart bidding strategy, but again, really impactful if you have like a deep layer of data, conversion, and revenue integration. So I know I kind of just alluded to TROAS, but TROAS is a value-based bidding strategy, right? And so let's talk about what is value-based bidding and the different variations, right? I know I mentioned, maximize conversions, ECPC, but I think value-based bidding really is going to be the future of automated bidding, really, where Google is able to understand the revenue implications and the exact dollar value of each click, and then find clicks, find users and leads that are going to drive towards revenue, not necessarily just a cost per lead basis, right? So, the number one thing with value-based bidding, it's about revenue, it's about dollars. And a maximize conversion value with the ROAS target automatically sets bids to help you get as much of the conversion value as possible. If you go to your conversions tab in Google Ads, you can actually see that every time you have a conversion, you have an option of putting a dollar amount. What is this lead worth? And I think that's a very valuable way of building out conversions. Even if you don't have a deep level of integration, right? You can start to test value-based bidding if you know relatively how much a lead is worth to your business, right? How much is a qualified lead worth, and then how much is a closed lead worth? And you can start to import that data and get smarter and smarter. And I don't see a lot of service-based companies leveraging value-based bidding, but we highly recommend it because it really does set yourself apart and gives you a better revenue approach to your Google Ads campaign. As often, people think that a lot of leads means a lot of dollars, and that's not always the case, right? Often, there's a balance of the right amount of leads that are driving the right revenue, but you hit a ceiling inevitably, right? And so then anything beyond that is going to be overkill and going to be too expensive, right, for the marketplace. Okay, so now we can jump directly into the Google Ads UI and actually build out a few different bidding strategies and show you where to find them in the campaign settings, but then also how to go to conversions and develop a value-based strategy. Okay, so now that we're in the campaign or in the Google Ads UI, let's jump into one of our prospecting campaigns, and we're going to go over to the settings tab, and this is where you can toggle between bid strategies. Okay, so now that you're inside the campaign settings, just come down here to bidding and then select bidding, and then you're going to hit change bidding strategy. And so you're going to see that Google's going to give you a lot of different options, right? We have maximize clicks, maximize conversions, maximize conversion value. That's going to be like your TROAS, and then target impression share. And then Google really only gives you one manual bidding option now. So on manual bidding, manual CPC, you have the ability to increase your conversions using eCPC. I often recommend eCPC, but basically Google says enhanced cost per click, or eCPC, can help you get more conversions from manual bidding. eCPC works by raising your max cost per click bids for clicks that seem more likely to lead to conversions and lowering your max CPC. The goal with enhanced cost per click is really Google's able to leverage some of their conversion value, or their conversion signals, like I mentioned in automated bidding, where it's almost like a pseudo, it's primarily manual, but they might take a few liberties at the auction to push users towards your site, or to increase your cost per click bid to find conversion value, right? So again, optimize for conversions or optimize for conversion value, depending on how you have your conversion set up. You can select there. Again, I often recommend that you only leverage manual CPC for the first few months while you're trying to understand what the market looks like. From there, you can set maximize clicks, and then I often recommend setting a CPC limit. Do some competitive research and decide what that is for. If your budgets are opened up and you're just trying to get a ton of clicks and you don't care what the CPC bid limit is, you don't have to leverage this. But for most advertisers, you have strict budgets, strict goals, and so put a max CPC that works for your business. Then we're going to go to maximize conversions, target cost per acquisition, cost per action. Again, this is really just the old TCPA that is now maximize conversions, right? So Google's just going to try to find as many conversions as possible for your allotted cost per lead or cost per acquisition. Maximize conversion value, set a target return on ad spend. This is your target ROAS that I was mentioning, right? So again, it's going to try to maximize the conversion value. If you want to have 1,500, return on ad spend, then definitely put that there. I don't recommend, similar to the TCPA option, leaving this blank. You want to always give automated bidding options, right, which is really vital. Then Google also has this little notification before setting a TROAS. Wait until your account has proper conversion tracking for at least 15 conversions in the last 30 days. Again, Google's telling you don't utilize automated bidding unless you have conversions in your account. Okay, so now that we've kind of run through all these, well, actually we can go to target impression share. Again, this is kind of your option if this is a branding campaign. We utilize target impression share really only for our branding campaigns, and there's a whole other strategy utilizing rules and such. But yeah, you can put at the top of the results, I want to get 95%. And then, if you really want to give 95%, don't put any max CPC here because it's all about getting the 95% target impression share. Give it one goal to focus on if you're going to do it this way. Okay, now we can jump into actual conversions to talk about how to set your conversions up for success and build out value in them. Okay, so now that we're in our conversions tab, let's select application submitted. And again, this is really if you want to leverage TROAS or conversion value bidding strategy, but just select it and hit edit settings. And again, you have to understand the value of an application, the value of a qualified lead. If a true value is 1,500, make sure you're putting that in there so that every time Google basically drives a lead that applies, it's basically, you know, hey, we just gave you $1,500 to your business, right? And so Google's going to keep driving towards your TROAS, your return on ad spend, based on this value right here. And then, you know, in terms of actually, like, if you don't have offline conversions, right, then don't worry about this. Just put, you know, what a normal lead is worth. Maybe it's 100, maybe it's 300, right? If you do have offline conversions, and we have another video on that, make sure you know how to import your data. There's a few different ways you can do it manually. You can do it through Google Sheets, or you can even connect your data, you know, your CRMs like Salesforce or something like that. Okay, so now that we ran through Google Ads, and you should have a good understanding of how to decide on the correct bid strategy, how to build out your conversion value in a meaningful way if you're going to leverage value-based bidding. But I wanted to kind of just discuss final thoughts. So understand all the bidding strategies that are available so that you know exactly what bidding strategy is going to solve your marketing goal, right? And that leads to number 2, determine what your marketing goal is. Like, really understand what are you trying to achieve and what are your primary KPIs. If you want to generate revenue, understand the lead impact, understand your max cost per lead, right? Understand the value of each lead, and then build that into your bidding strategy and your bidding strategy's focus, right? And then know the difference and understand the nuance between manual and automated bidding, right? Again, there's definitely a place for manual bidding still in this environment, but utilize it correctly. And then also don't be afraid of automated bidding. Automated bidding really is the future, and if you can really jump in and support automated bidding through conversions value, through offline conversion tracking, your campaigns are going to be extremely successful. So overall, you know, thank you for watching this video. You know, we'll link to our other videos in the video notes, and we'll see you on the next one.